Welcome, everybody, to How to Split a Toaster, a divorce podcast about saving your relationships from True Story FM. Today, you know your toaster likes movies, too.
Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Seth Nelson, and we have our holiday bonus. Pete, Andy, tell them what's going on.
The lawyer just threw the ball. Okay. Look, last year we did this thing where we had a great time talking about movies over the holidays, the best representations or depictions of the law in movies, looking at just the kinds of liberties that movies take with the law and what movies get it well and what movies could use some work. And so we decided to come back and do another fantastical exploration of moviedom as related to the things we talk about this show. And today, it's all about divorce on film. And so I am here with my movies, and Seth is here, presumably with his movies, and our able producer, Andy Nelson, about whom we speak often on the show, but never allow to speak on the show, is back with us to bring his movies. Andy, hi.
Hello. Glad to be here and looking forward to talking through these movies lists with you two.
And Andy is the little brother I always wish I had. It's like no relation.
He even made me change my last name just to fit the role.
Part of this show. I get very excited about this, but in particular, last time, I feel like Andy and I were on team ignorant. Like we pick movies that kind of make the law fun. And
hey, now. I don't know. Miracle on 34th Street, I think that was a fine depiction of the way law really works. Yes,
that's exactly what I'm talking about. Andy and I live in fantasy land, and Seth had all of the chips talking about the law. This time, I feel woefully under-equipped because my parents didn't go through divorce when I was a child, and I have not been through divorce myself personally. So everything I see in the movies is, I'm sure, true. And both of you have divorce in your baggage.
In our world somewhere.
Yeah,
but here's the good news, Pete. I think next year for the holiday bonus, we do movies about podcasts, and we can see how many we have. And I feel like you and Andy will have all the chips because all the amazing stuff you guys do at True Story FM. So,
I can't wait for
we
that
might be
episode.
Arguing over one movie. But
I can't wait for that movie. Should we do? I don't remember how we did it last year. Did we draw straws? Did we Rochambeau? Who goes first?
I think we let Andy go first. He never gets to talk. He's always behind the scenes. You know, why not?
That's good. Let's do that.
Like that. I like this. I like this, the plan. All right. So to kick things off, I'm going to go with a divorce film. Yeah, I mean, as you've said, I am from a divorced family, and my parents got divorced when I was young. My dad's been remarried several other times since. And so, seeing divorced families on film sometimes is an interesting experience to see, how real they feel. And if there was one film that kind of had an interesting sense of like, wow, I sense a lot of the realities from my own life in kind of this story. It was Noah Baumbach's film from 2005, The Squid and the Whale. And it follows two parents and their kids as the parents go through a big divorce. And really, a lot of it is about the kids, notably the older kid played by Jesse Eisenberg, as he kind of comes to terms with his relationship with his father. So films about divorce, they're not always fun films to watch. This is one of those. It's a little tough, but for me, it was a bit of a punch in the gut. I really found it to be a powerful one. So that's my first pick, The Squid and the Whale.
Seth, what have you seen Squid and the Whale?
I have not, and it's not on my list.
Good, it's not a steal. It is not a steal for me either, though. It was close. It's a backup. I don't like divorce movies. That's my problem. I generally don't like divorce movies, so there's got to be something else.
You guys are watching the wrong movies then.
Well, that's why I'm gonna open with my pick, which I feel like is for many years defined what divorce was actually like for me in my youth. The movie came out in 1989, so I was an older teenager when this came out in theaters. Saw it in the theaters, remember it very well. It's full of people I like very much. I'm talking about the trio of Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner, and Danny DeVito in War of the Roses. If there
on my list.
there you go. If divorce doesn't get physical at some point, it didn't happen.
That's right.
That's what this movie taught me.
Well, taking all joking, because we don't joke about domestic violence,
No.
but War of the Roses is a classic divorce movie and all the craziness and how it just spirals out of control, right?
Right.
It is
Well,
a-
I mean, the peak when they end on the chandelier together.
I know.
That's like that's. I mean, it's because you're right. We don't joke about domestic. I don't see this as domestic violence necessarily. This is like domestic warfare, and I think
Right.
there's a distinct difference between.
It's in the title. It's in the title.
It's in the title. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So my first one goes under the category of you can't make this shit up. Okay. And that's how I feel a lot of my days are. But it is with Meryl Streep, and Alec Baldwin, who reunite after 10 years, and it's complicated
Yep. That was on my list.
because there you go. That happens, right?
Those
Yeah.
hookups.
Explain it.
Well,
Pete.
it's been a long time since I've seen it, but the way I understand it is Alec Baldwin recently he divorces. Okay, it's between Alec Baldwin, Lake Bell, Meryl Streep, and I think it's just and one other person. I don't remember who the fourth
Is it
person
Steve
is.
Martin? I want to say Steve Martin, but I
Was it Steve
probably
Martin?
wrong.
So Alec Baldwin and Meryl Streep are dating, but
they got divorced.
they got
divorced.
divorced
10 years
He
ago.
now is
and
with
they
Lake
reunited
Bell.
at graduation.
Yeah.
Right.
He's now with
and
Lake Bell.
he's married and he runs into his ex-wife at their kid's graduation, and couple drinks in,
Yep.
little memory lane. And there's some really funny scenes, like when he's naked on the bed and there's like they're on the screen, and then someone else comes in the show in the scene, and it's some complicated, compromising positions that are just hilarious. And it's the holidays, so everyone should laugh a little bit. Pete, you know, it doesn't.
I wonder, as we wrap our first round here, Seth, if you find other movies that are popular for the divorce crowd, for like your clients, do you have like a list of movies, or should we be preparing that list today that you recommend defines the divorce
I
process?
don't, but you know what? That's so interesting you say about creating a list, because I have a list for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing I've never had a list for is movies. But my fiance always had a list for movies on kids. I just saw your eyes get really big,
I
guys.
know.
Yep.
Something
I made a note.
I just dropped the
Something
bomb.
happened.
I just
Why
dropped
would you
the
do
bomb
that
on
so
you.
subtly like that? Why would you tease us like that? What is going on right now?
Well, since the last time we had our podcast, I've become engaged. And like a good friend of mine said, you're engaged in what?
Well, congratulations.
That's fantastic.
Seth. That's awesome.
Well, thank you. A little holiday cheer, even though it's a divorce podcast, because as we all know, the leading cause of divorce is marriage.
Right.
So I'm going to tempt fate, and give it a go.
That is
man.
fantastic
Wow,
news.
it is
And
great.
I think Andy and I join Andy in saying, long time coming. It's about time.
Yeah, right.
done.
No kidding.
It's-
It's been a while.
It's only been 12 years. So I play the long game. We're in no rush here.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. No hurry.
So-
That's fantastic. What huge news for a
So-
bonus episode. This is that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
no kidding. That's great.
So,
Raising a glass.
but to answer your question, I don't have a list, but I think I'm going to talk to her and see if she has a divorce movie list. And I'm going to see how that flies over the holidays when I bring that up.
Sounds great. Sounds like a great holiday.
Perfect.
Make
Yeah.
sure they've just served dinner. That'll be perfect. All right, Andy, what do you got for number 2?
All right. Well, not to bring it down, way down after all that exciting news, but the next film that I have on my list, I mean, it's an interesting film. It's a nonlinear, and it jumps between 2 points in a relationship. One, before getting married at the beginning, when everything is happy and things are great. And then the second part is several years into the marriage when things are completely falling apart. and inevitably leading to the divorce that we all knew was coming. It is in the 2010 film directed by Derek Cianfrance, Blue Valentine. And if you thought the last film I mentioned was a punch in the gut, this is the real punch in the gut. This is a tough one, but incredible performances by both Michelle Williams and Ryan Gosling in the film. But yeah, it's a difficult one, but a good one. So that's number 2 for me, Blue Valentine.
That was too sad to put on the list.
It's right? I know.
And it's the holidays, Andy.
Yeah.
I know.
And now everyone listening's like, now I know why they don't let Andy talk.
Right. Lock him back up for another year.
That's fantastic. I do have one gut punch on the list, but I tried to really rein it in a little bit with some of this. But my second film is from just a year later, 2011, and I can't remember, Andy, if you and I have had a conversation about this. Something tells me that you don't like this movie, but I don't remember. It is a story of a middle-aged husband whose life changes dramatically when his wife asks him for a divorce. He goes about looking to rediscover his manhood with the help of a newfound friend, Jacob, learning to pick up girls at bars. And this is a perfect tie-in,
Yes.
because the hottie with the body is Ryan Gosling.
That's right.
Who just has a real corner on the market of divorce movies. But it stars Steve Carell, and I remember feeling like, oh, Steve Carell, he's got some incredible range. This was sort of these were the years where he was demonstrating a lot of stuff, and the movie, if I haven't said it, is Crazy Stupid Love, with Steve Carell, Ryan Gosling, and Julianne Moore in the principal roles. Emma Stone is in it, Marissa Tomei is in it, Kevin Bacon, who proves he is connected to everybody, is in this movie. I really enjoyed this movie, but I think it is principally because every actor in this film is so wildly charismatic, even when they're down.
Yeah.
It is just, it's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of heart and, deals with some serious stuff too.
I mean, are we allowed to do spoiler alerts since these movies have been out forever?
Yeah.
I mean, how does that
10
work?
years, sure.
So, but doesn't Ryan Gosling's character start dating Steve Carell's daughter?
Yeah.
That's the whole issue, because Steve Carell, that's what's so funny. Steve Carell is looking for dating advice from the guy who's dating his own daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, without realizing it. I mean, it all comes to
it kind of comes into
exactly.
that. So,
such a fun movie, and we haven't talked about that, but absolutely worth talking about because it's fantastic.
You're a fan, though. You like it?
100%.
It must be something else.
Love this movie. Love
okay,
it.
good. All right.
Well, I'm going with the lighter side, guys. It's the holidays. I don't know what's going on over there. But Goldie Hawn, Bette Midler, Diane Keaton, The First Wives Club. I mean, come on. Comedy about these amazing women who help their husband in their careers. And then, as we stereotypically see in the movies and in life sometimes, all get asked for divorce, and the guys are all with much younger women, and they just get even in a hilarious comedy in how they do it. And I just thought it was just whole lot of fun.
A whole lot of fun. Yeah.
And what a trio, powerhouse performance, led by those three at the top of the movie. Really strong.
Absolutely. I just feel like it is it's one of those that makes you I always reflect people who write divorce movies have there's a reason they're writing these storylines, and there must be some true story to all of these, right? Some writer had an experience where he knew that these people actually existed, and that satisfies me to a great extent.
Absolutely. It's a funny one.
I always think that, unlike Andy, who's like, let's just write the gut punch like how it really is. I think it's harder to write a comedy about difficult subjects. Mm-hmm. And so maybe that's kind of where I'm going with all this.
I like it.
I like the harder road, Andy. You just go for the jugular.
Low hanging fruit, Andy. Bring an A game pick now.
Yeah, apparently. Well, all right. For my next pick, I don't know if I should do this one now. Jeez. I'm going a different route because, divorce happens all over the world. And in this particular case, I'm looking at an Iranian film from 2011 directed by Asghar Farhadi, called A Separation. And wow, what a surprisingly powerful film about a couple in Iran who separate, and how hard that is in this particular society, the challenges that they go through with all of that, and also the fact that there's an aging elderly father with Alzheimer's that's kind of in the mix of all of it too. And it's just, there's a lot of complexities. It's putting a lot of issues for the daughter. It's just like in this particular society, something like this unfolding really like it takes a whole new approach. And so A Separation is the name of the film, if I hadn't mentioned it. And it's, it's a really interesting story about divorce on that side of the world. So that is number 3 for me.
Okay, that's not really a gut punch. We'll give him that
It's
one.
not.
Pete.
No.
It's
Mind expanding is what he just did.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes. All right. That was not on my list. So you got some points there,
Hey,
Andy.
look at that. Didn't
Although
quite
I
have
have a
enough
list
laughs,
of 15
I guess.
other Iranian divorce comedies that I'm excited to bring you all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk to my fiance about that
Yeah,
now,
new
too.
list.
We want to have categories of foreign divorce movies.
My next pick is decidedly on brand for me. I think it is one of my very favorite movies. It's about a lonely writer, and he's just trying to get by. He's going through a divorce, and it's hard on him. And he's not a very social guy, and he happens to meet a new partner, and that partner gets him through his days, wakes him up in the morning, walks with him on the beach, and puts him to bed at night. They develop an incredible relationship. It just so happens that partner is an artificial intelligence. I'm talking about Her, the Spike Jonze film in which Joaquin Phoenix is going through a divorce from Rooney Mara and falls in love with Scarlett Johansson in the form of a robot. And it is an amazingly good movie. Don't you dare disparage it.
No, I just had no idea where you're going with that. Like, that was the last thing I was expecting to pop up on the list. It was the robot.
I feel like, again, isn't this what divorce is like right now? Like, you get a divorce and you're lonely and sad, and so you fall in love with Siri.
Wait. I don't know how, Pete, you just mentioned my fiance's name on the show. I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times, she does not want the spotlight on her. And that we can say girlfriend at the time, and now I said fiance, and now you just let it out to the world.
You don't.
Okay.
When you try to get her attention, do you now say, "Hey, fiance"?
Only if I want to be ignored.
Well, I take it that's not a steal then from your reactions. I feel very good about that.
No, that is not a steal. But I will tell you, the first thing in the trouble I had with my fiance Siri is that she wanted to be in a very open relationship, and I was a little concerned.
Gets to a principal point in this movie. What a well-played comment.
Exactly.
Okay. I just thought this next one for me was great. Jack Nicholson, Amanda Peet, Diane Keaton, Keanu Reeves, and Something's Gotta Give. And yeah. You didn't have that one, Pete, or did you?
I didn't have it on my list, but and honestly, this is just hearing you say it reminded me of the movie, and it's a worthy pick.
Well, go ahead. Explain why you think I'm so worthy. I like it.
Well, I'm on a Keanu Reeves kick right now with The Matrix 4 coming up, and so I've been watching a lot of interviews with him, and he's just such a wonderfully charismatic guy. But that movie, it captures a part in life that I think is really fascinating, right? Because isn't he like he's on the cusp of being like a senior citizen, and that really plays on his relationship with women. And
that's what Jack Nicklaus is, right? He's the older guy dating the younger women, and then like all these other people come in, and like Diane Keaton, who has visiting her. And what happens is Jack Nicholson is dating this young woman, but then they're at the beach house, and the young woman's mom comes in, who's older, and then that kind of happens, and Keanu Reeves is the doctor that's kind of helping people through their health, and all this love triangle starts. But it's just, and I guess what I'm kind of going for now that I'm looking at these picks that I'm doing is like not just like the gut wrenching Andy when you're going through it, but like what happens afterwards. Like we so focus on the now, right? When we're going through divorce, you're just trying to breathe and get through it, focused on today. You're looking backwards about what happened. And I'm always trying to get people to look forward, and you never know what life is going to bring you, and all the craziness that might happen and how your views change. And I've had clients that will, at the beginning of their case, will be telling me something and they truly believe it. In their heart of hearts, in their minds of minds, they believe it. It's their core. And then 6 months later, that might change.
Yeah.
And so I just said, like, things change. There's shifting sands. We grow, we learn. Things happen to us. We view things differently. So just always kind of keep that in mind. And that's kind of what these movies are for me, is when you're years down the road or you're only dating a certain type of person, and hey, look, you've dated that same person 1,000 times and it hasn't worked out. Maybe try something new, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I felt about that movie.
Well, and you managed to pick one of the members of the Hollywood divorce movie industrial complex. Now you have 2 movies written by Nancy Myers on your list. It's complicated and directed by, written and directed by. It's complicated, and now something's got to give. And looking at the posters, I think they even use the same font. So.
Nancy Myers is a director who has a number of other divorce films under her list, so we'll see if any of those pop up. It'd be interesting.
All right, so that takes us. Is it my turn again already? Already?
No, my turn, I think.
Oh, it's your turn.
I think Andy's
your
turn.
Good. I'm so sorry. Backing away from the mic.
I mean, I like what Seth had to say about the whole idea of when you're kind of post-divorce and trying to take a breath and figure out how to move forward, because it fits in so perfectly. This is a story about 4 women, and one of the reasons that I also picked it is because they're from Phoenix, and, that's where I am. And, this is a story about them as they kind of end some relationships and try to move on and figure out what's coming next. It's directed by Forrest Whitaker, starring a fantastic cast: Whitney Houston, Angela Bassett, Loretta Devine, Leela Rashawn, Dennis Haysbert, Michael Beach, Gregory Hines, Donald Faison, Mykelti Williamson, just an awesome cast of people. It is waiting to exhale. And if you one of the great iconic moments from the scene from the film is when Angela Bassett, when she's going through the initial phase of realizing that her relationship is ending, and she sets fire to her husband's, all of his clothes and his car, and that image of her standing there staring at the car burning. It's just classic.
Classic.
It is classic.
It is classic.
I knew it was a steal.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
I know it.
So good.
And the only thing that ever makes me sad is that part when she, like, all of it's on fire. Unfortunately, I've had cases like that where they've literally lit their party's stuff on fire. And here's a little thing to know: check your local jurisdiction.
Always got to get that in.
There's a difference on what you can be prosecuted for or not, depending on whether you light your ex's stuff on fire in your front yard or the backyard.
Wow.
Really?
Who would have thought? Mm-hmm. Check your local jurisdiction.
Can you give me, just right off the dome, an example of something that I could legally light on fire in my backyard that I can't light on fire in my front yard?
It's not about the item, it's about the location.
Oh, okay.
And I learned this when I was dealing with a case, and I don't know if it was a long time ago, so I don't know if that's still
fantastic
the law, but
that's crazy.
I mean, I tell clients all the time, you can break into your own house. They're like, they changed the locks. I'm like, is there a pot on the front stoop? They're like, yeah. I'm like, throw it through the window. And they're like, what? I was like,
it's your house.
It's your house. You can break your window if you like.
Oh,
I don't do it in the middle of the night to disturb people. But
is there, like, when they're married, and this is an interesting question about that, if, like, are spouses' clothing considered like communal shared property, even though obviously one set of clothes is for one and one set of clothes is for the other?
Well, don't disregard the cross dressers there, Andy, and making those hypotheticals and assumptions. So yes, I mean, or is there going to be issues if you like? Oh, she took my suits, or he took my shoes, or whatever the case may be. The bane of our existence, other than discovery and all those paperwork that we have to do, is when parties are arguing about personal property.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of money you're going to spend, just go buy new stuff.
Yeah, sure. That's a good point.
But it happens.
Yeah, right.
All right.
So be careful on those Christmas gifts that you give.
Noted.
Yeah, no
wow.
kidding.
I'm glad I'm not done with my shopping. Okay. My fourth pick. I'm so glad that I was able to get this in. Honestly, I didn't think I was going to do it when Andy picked his first movie, because this is my gut punch movie.
Oh, yes.
Released in 2019, and I found it absolutely crushing. It turns out that the AI in her was a real woman after all. Scarlett Johansson, Adam Driver, in Noah Baumbach's film Marriage Story, that really documents in an incredibly clever fashion the dissolution of a marriage in favor of the family as in an effort to stay together after it. And I found it so, oh my God, it was just heart-wrenching, this movie. It was incredibly well written. The performances were just stellar. Totally believable for me, and also believable as it fell apart. So I thought it was a great movie. Is it a steal? Tell me it's a steal from somebody.
It was almost on my list, but it was so gut-wrenching, I took it off.
And I had the other Noah Baumbach. I didn't want to run two of them, but
well,
good
it gave
pick,
me
though.
a chance to get two ScarJos in there. So
I had that as a
That's
backup
exciting.
just in case. It's a good one.
Yeah, so good.
See, I feel like Andy is has all these backup movies in case we say one of his.
Oh no, believe me,
You
I've been working
know.
with Andy a long time about movies, and his backup list is 150 strong. I guarantee it.
There might be a few.
All right.
So I'm just going to say it. Under the Tuscan Sun.
Yeah, another getting a groove back movie.
It's all about getting your groove back for me. That's what I'm always talking to people about. And I also just thought the change of location and what are you trying to accomplish here and where are you and how everything can be new and different was just really great. And the scenery is phenomenal. And it's like you just said, Pete, getting your groove back. That's what I'm talking about. Simple for me.
Yeah. I love it.
I've never seen it. Never seen that one. But I love Diane Lane.
Yeah.
She's just always awesome.
It's lovely, and they say this is a tropey thing to say, but I'll say it. The setting is the character in the movie. It's so gorgeous where she goes.
It's so beautiful. The cinematography is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's just a gorgeous film. Whatever you think of that, just parading through these landscapes is stellar.
Yeah. All right. Is it time for the final picks?
It's time for the final picks.
I think I'm out of movies because there was a couple steals there.
Oh no, that must fill you with such shame.
Oh my God. I have to get on talk to Uncle Google here real quick. I don't know what's
Well, we could call this our bonus round then. How about that?
There you go. There you go.
Okay.
All right.
So for my bonus pick then, Pete, I love this movie. We've talked about it on our show, The Next Reel. This is a comedy. And just, for me, it's here we are. I'm going light. I'm going with a lot of levity. Some might say it's over the top insane levity, but it is a film I loved to pieces. It is so flippin' funny. And it is because Melissa McCarthy, newly divorced, goes back to college with her daughter and joins her in the sorority. It is Life of the Party, directed by Melissa's husband, Ben Falcone. This is just one of the funniest movies, and there are at least two scenes where I am in tears laughing. It is just so funny. So the big favorite of mine, it is Life of the Party.
Okay. You win with that pick. I love that movie so much. Seth, have you seen it?
Yes. First off, anytime that an adult goes back to college with their child, I'm in favor of. I can't tell you how many times I've told my son, who's now just starting as a junior, to think about colleges and where he might go. And I say, I've always wanted to study that as well. And he, as I always like to say, I am the rock on which he sharpened his wit. He looks at me and says, Dad, you can't get into the schools I'm applying to.
Oh, wow.
And I say, good luck paying for them now.
Right.
You know?
Oh my God.
That's fantastic.
So funny.
It's a great movie though, Andy. That's a great pick. And it's not a gut punch, so I'm
That's
really
right.
pleased.
I had to get one on here that wasn't going to destroy people.
Well, I'll end with my bonus pick that isn't as much of a gut punch either. This is it's actually a remake of a movie that was I don't remember where it was made originally. The director is Sebastian Lelio. This is the original film was called Gloria. This is the 2018 film Gloria Bell, and it's another getting your groove back movie. It's music and it's a woman in her middle age just going out and having a good time and trying to rediscover herself sexually, and who has fault with that plot at all. Great use of music, amazing cast. John Turturro joins Julianne Moore as Gloria Bell, John Turturro, Michael Cera, Brad Garrett shows up. Brad Garrett, everybody loves Raymond fame. Love Brad Garrett, he's very funny. Jean Triplehorn, Rita Wilson, who I think was in another pick. Was she in It's Complicated or Something's Gotta Give?
Complicated.
Anyway, it's complicated. It is, and Sean Astin is in this movie as well. It's fantastic. It was produced by one of our very favorite people, Pablo Larraín, and so I think it is a worthy entry into the list. Gloria Bell, if you haven't seen it, it's a lot of fun watching Julianne Moore get her groove back.
Nice.
And you won't be surprised to know, in the climactic scene of the movie, they do play the song Gloria. So that apparently is, and by the end, if you don't want to dance with it, then you're not wired right.
Wow.
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
Something's wrong.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, Seth, did you come up with something? Did Google give you?
Is that it?
No, I decided I was going to focus on what you were saying and not do Uncle Google.
Okay.
I felt like that would not be right to kind of cheat that way. But I got to tell you, I can't thank you both enough for, Andy, all the hard work and behind the scenes stuff you do for the Toaster and producing. And
Absolutely.
Pete always keeping me honest when we're on the show talking to our guest. And I would like to share with you a couple things that I've heard from some people.
Oh, outstanding.
Great. Yeah.
Recently was told that really loved the show, learning some things, and have stepped outside of my comfort zone and reached out to a divorce group to meet new friends.
Wow.
Oh,
That's awesome.
really great.
Yep. So I was told that, and it was told that I was allowed to share that on the show. Had some other people, I think we talked about, we haven't talked about on the show, but there was that amazing review about listening to the show and talking about how to talk to your lawyer and save money. So that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
And we had a really nice review on that. Got some other people that are diehard listeners, some of which, one of it is a former client who says, I listened to that show and it's great, Seth, and Pete is awesome. And I'm like, what are you doing listening to
You're
this? And
done.
she's like,
You're done.
She's
man.
like, right. And she goes, I think you guys are really funny.
That's nice.
And so that was very, very kind of her. So we've gotten some nice feedback, and I just thought I'd share that during the holidays.
That's really
and if you're
nice.
out there and you're going through a divorce, it is perfectly okay. It is perfectly okay to get some popcorn and whatever you want to drink and go watch a movie by yourself and realize you're not going to be interrupted by the kids or sit next to someone that you don't really care for anymore. And so go enjoy the movies, enjoy your holidays, enjoy the time that you might have to yourself, because you don't get those moments back. And I would encourage people to try not to think about what you don't have or who's not next to you or your kids aren't there with you, but that you get to enjoy this time for yourself and do all those things that you might not have had time to do when all other people were around.
That is a lovely way to wrap up this and this season and this holiday, as we enter into and explore this holiday season, whatever stage of the divorce process you are in. Thank you, everybody, for downloading and listening to this show. We deeply appreciate you for participating in this community. All of the movie picks will be in the show notes in your podcast app or on the website at nelsoncoster.com or at truestory.fm. And we hope that you find something to laugh at if you're like me and Seth, or if you're just in for a torrential cry, you could watch Andy's movies, any one of them. It's
Right.
great. Hey, Andy.
And listen, we don't give legal advice here, as everyone knows, but if you do have any legal questions or any questions at all in your life, feel free to ask my fiance Siri, and we'll just go from there.
I thought you were going to be serious about it. You can ask us questions too. We're collecting questions for our next season. Just go to the website. There's a button that says ask a question, and it'll go right to us, and we'll queue them up to knock them out as we gear up for next season of the show. We're taking a little break for some weeks here as we navigate the holidays. We'll have some older episodes we're going to queue back up over the next couple of weeks. So enjoy your holiday, listen to some reruns, and we'll see you in 22. Thanks, everybody. On behalf of Seth Nelson and Andy Nelson, thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
We'll catch you back here next year, right here on How to Split a Toaster, a divorce podcast about saving your relationships.
Seth Nelson is an attorney with Nelson Coster Family Law and Mediation, with offices in Tampa, Florida. While we may be discussing family law topics, How to Split a Toaster is not intended to, nor is it providing legal advice. Every situation is different. If you have specific questions regarding your situation, please seek your own legal counsel with an attorney licensed to practice law in your jurisdiction. Pete Wright is not an attorney or employee of Nelson Coster. Seth Nelson is licensed to practice law in Florida.